As we move along the warrior path, it's very important for us to understand that there are 6 levels of engagement. There are 3 that are a little higher level, and then there are 3 that are pretty base. And the lower we get into those, the more we move towards the 6th, we start digging ourselves into a pit that's very difficult to get out of. Now, the first thing that we should always do whenever there's a potentially dangerous situation is to avoid it. We want to avoid rushing rivers. We want to avoid bears in the woods. We want to avoid, jumping onto cactus. Now, that being said, there might be times that you can't avoid a situation. For some reason, trouble has found you. Now, an oversimplification on this is to look at the Star Wars episode where Obi-Wan Kenobi said, "These are not the droids we're looking for. These are not the droids we're looking for. We can be on our way." They can be on their way. So with this Jedi mind trick of dissuading the person, what does that really mean? Well, one thing I could do is say, "Hey, aren't you so-and-so's brother? And, I dated your sister." Or, "Hey, yeah, we went to the same school together. Remember me? We were in the same class," and so on. And that might be enough to put you off the scent of causing me harm or injury. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's other things that need to be done. But what happens is we want to take this in a logical stepwise progression. We don't want to go any further than our opponent takes us. And hopefully our opponent is not taking us very far at all. So what happens, our first level, is to avoid the situation. That's the highest level. That's the greatest level to be able to move around and then just nothing happens. However, there are times when trouble comes your way and you have to deal with it, and you try and dissuade the person. You try and dissolve the situation. You try and move past this, get back to that point where you're safe again. Now, the third level is going to be where you hurt. And that's really where we want to stop. We really don't want to go any further than that if we can avoid it. Now, hurt means something kind of like I take a rolled up newspaper and I swat that dog in the nose that was trying to attack me. Pow, it causes pain, and he's like, "Well, I don't want to mess with that guy." Perfect, good. I don't need to do anything more. Leave me alone, have a great day. So we have avoid, then dissuade, and then next we have hurt. Now the next 3 are, again, once we get into that pit, it's very difficult to move back out of it. So we need to understand that these 3 are usually reserved for war or for very hostile situations. If somebody is bent on your destruction, you may have to move into these other levels. But you also need to have an understanding of, what is your place when it comes to these things. The fourth one, okay, we have avoid, dissuade, and then we have hurt. After that, it's injure. I might have to break something. I might have to break a finger or a leg or an arm or something. After that, it's going to be maim. I have to take something away permanently, like a leg, an arm, your ability to walk, your ability to not be a vegetable. These things, these would be very debilitating. And our last one is death. And in my opinion, those last 3 are really reserved for wartime situations or extremely hostile encounters. Now, I don't like to talk about the 4th, 5th, and 6th one very much because I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression of, "Oh, hey, it's really good. Let's go ahead and jump really far into the deep end." I do not want you to. As a matter of fact, you have to remember that whatever level you take this to, you have to live with the consequences. You have to live with it at the very least on your mind for the rest of your life. Now, when we talk about tools and weapons, what have you, I like to talk about an idea of, let's say that I had to stop somebody with extreme force. If I had to use extreme force and let's say I picked up a sword and I had to use that to save myself and others, and I hurt the other person in the process, if the police officer came up to me and started saying, "Hey, where'd you get this weapon, and why'd you use this weapon, and why'd you kill this guy with this weapon?" my mentality would be, there is no weapon here except the mind of that person. That person was trying to hurt me and my friends and family. Now, again, when it comes to a tool versus a weapon, a tool is something you use correctly. If I have to use a sword in order to be able to stop this, well, it's gone pretty far, number 1. And number 2, maybe the sword was the only thing I had available to me. If I can use the back end and smack and cause pain, I will do that. If I can stop you by breaking something, great, okay, good. I don't want to take this any further than I have to, but if I ever have to, and I'm questioning why I use those tactics, my response would be, I did not use it as a weapon. I'm sorry about what happened, but I was using it as a tool for the defense of myself and others. A weapon is a tool that is used incorrectly. Understanding this is very important. People talk about guns as weapons. One of the examples I use is I'll have a sword and I'll put it down on the ground and then I'll say, all right, what are you afraid of more, me or the sword? They'll invariably say the sword. And then I start acting like it's a dog and go, yeah, go get him, boy, go get him, go get him. The sword can't do that. The sword can only inflict damage when it's used by the person wielding it or because of accident. But if I come in and I start attacking people with a sword, then what happens is it is now a weapon. If, on the other hand, I'm able to use that correctly in a self-defense capacity and be able to stop the harm, that is, again, used as a tool. Make sure that you're always using these mentalities as you're going about your day. Think about the situations you see, whether it's in videos or in reality, where people are using the various tools that they have incorrectly and weaponizing their mind, among other things. And be wary and be very vigilant about it as well. Thank you for joining us on this portion of the Warrior Path.